How long do you normally spend in a duel? Whether it be online, in person, maybe 15, 20 minutes, 30. Tournament procedure has rounds going up to 40 to 45 minutes depending on the venue. How about 2 hours?
What the f***, bro?
That's right, guys. What's going on? LoganJYA, Drytron here, and today I've got a replay for you. This was one heck of a match that all unfolded live on my live stream. Link in the description down below. If you ain't never been there, go check it out. Holy smokes, this was one hard-fought battle, and I'm going to point out to you the reasons why while we both go through and relive my suffering of this particular match. I'm telling you right now, I kid you not, this match lasted approximately 2 hours, and it was absolutely insane. A very back-and-forth game. It was a good match, but I assure you, I was getting frustrated with how long it was taking. I don't want to keep you guys waiting too long, and don't worry, I'm going to speed it up for you so you don't got to suffer the same way I did. Let's dive into the 2-hour match, the longest match in Yu-Gi-Oh! That I've ever played, and what may very well be one of the longest matches in history. If you've had a long duel that you can remember, or one even longer than this, let me know in the comments down below. Without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, my friends, we got a lot of content to cover here, so we're going to dive right in. Again, this is the longest duel I have ever had on Dueling Book, or frankly in general, but it was against this gentleman named Raph, and you're going to see the matchup in just a second here. I'm going to show you both players' hands as we go through, but keep in mind that I obviously didn't know what he was playing as we start things out. That might have changed my plays. End up winning the die roll. Nice. Let's look at that opening hand. Ooh, not too hot, but this is a good lesson for you guys, that there sometimes are situations where even with the worst one-name hand, we are still able to do the Chaos Max lock combo, and that's what you're going to see me do here. It's a bit of a reach, but we use the Mediona, Sunback, Ben 10, Beatrice, take a dump is going to send Alpha. Alpha's going to pitch off the Chaos Max and specifically search out Draconid, so that way we can still summon back the Chaos Max and go into the Dynamon lock on the opponent's turn. And for me, I was thinking, yo, this is a pretty good setup, all things considered, since I only opened up with Gamma Ben 10 and the hard-drawn Chaos Max, which made it possible. But holy smokes, that was a mistake looking at what the opponent's playing. If you can't tell, what this is Paleo tier. What an odd combination, especially post-ban list. You wouldn't expect to see something like this in play. And I honestly was scoffing at the thought of playing against something so silly. But mind you, it was a battle, and you're going to see why as we go through. So, Chaos Max lock doesn't do a heck of a lot when your opponent chooses to set 5 and pass, and I was actually joking about this live on stream. I was like, man, if this man sets 5 and pass after I jump through all these hoops to do this, I'm going to be P.O.'d. So, anyway, sets 5's pass, and I'm like, alright, whatever, don't draw into either a name or a ritual, so we're going to go in for that damage and then go for a Zeus play, as if that was going to resolve. Get hit with the Lost Wind, which is a card you'll commonly see in Paleo. He uses the trap to pop his own trap, and then goes for the Needlebug Nest. That's one of the cute things of this deck. And here, I'm going to point out one thing before we continue, is the bane of my existence in this match is this one particular card, Rise to Full Heights. I'm not going to explain its on-field effect. The real relevant thing is its grave effect, where you can target a monster you control, banish this Rise to Full Heights from the graveyard, and that is the only monster that me or the opponent could attack. And if you remove that monster, it's as if you can't attack at all. It's like you got hit with Threatening Roar. It's crazy because you can do it from the graveyard, and this deck likes to mill itself. Of course, you're also milling things like your Paleo traps, which you can summon back for free, as well as your tier names. So things like Sulliak, which will give you free searches. So yeah, as if that Zeus was going to resolve. He's actually going to start playing now. We're actually going to see what the heck his deck does. So he goes for the Merly and actually just uses it to make Toad. That's right, it's a level 2 Aqua. Combine that with the Paleo, you got yourself a totally awesome. This may not look like the most threatening board in the universe, but hey, we're going to try and go to town. He uses the Rise to Full Heights on the Toad, so that means after he redeems its negate, I'm not going to be able to swing for the rest of the turn. I give him my Change of Heart, thinking I could force, and then immediately misplay with that thrust, going for the Harpy's Feather Duster. I thought he still had a monster on field. Lo and behold, I was completely wrong. So going for game is completely out of the question. Instead, I'm going to try and set up the most threatening board possible, that being Vanity's Ruler. He hits me with the Breakthrough skill, which means he's going to be trying to summon during my turn, and that's what we see going on with this Backjack, lining up a Lost Wind, and then that's going to be able to trigger his Paleo effects in grave. I use the talents to draw 2 here, and then he ends ends up resetting the Lost Wind when I go for my boy Beta, as well as negating it and summoning a Paleo from grave. Lining up advantage, that's what this deck does. So at this point, I decide I'm just going to have to set up the most threatening board, and my goal is going to be to defend that Vanity's Ruler. Problem, though, no matter how many negates I line up, he is going to have just as many to stop the Vanity's Ruler and start establishing additional pressure on his side of the field. A little bit frustrating. And one other thing I want to point out that's insanely important about this weird matchup is that all the Paleos are unaffected by monster effects, which means I can't steal them with Natasha. Now, this match is just getting started, so I'm going to let it continue to play out, and you guys can see the board I put up here. Relatively threatening, right? But it's still going to be very awkward. The Candina makes it weird. The Lost One's going to be able to negate my Moy Beta, so I can't save my Draco Nids from getting booked. And then, of course, he redeems this Change of Heart. I decided to let it go because I think it would be more fruitful to hold the advantage in hand in this situation. Negating it would basically do nothing because he would just chain that Lost Wind and I would be out a card in hand. So he goes for the Merly, ends up using its effect to mill 3, and he's actually mostly using the Tear Cache for the mills and to apply pressure, not really going for random mills here. It's actually a bit more strategic than that. So the Access Code comes down with the Lord of 1,000 Thunders, and he starts applying the pressure. Looks like he's got serious control of the game state, as well as that Rise to Full Heights. The Harpy's Feather Duster being set was kind of my pseudo trump card, as in like, okay, I'm going to hit him with this, and I'm going to clap him back really, really hard. He ends up searching the Havness. This is something I'm going to forget about later. But I've got a full stacked graveyard of Drytron names, and we're going to try and make the big push. Now, I can't kill him, again, because of that very obnoxious trap card, but we are going to do exactly what we can do. And he's going to add back the Tear Cache. We're finally going to start redeeming Natasha's, but then he flips up this crazy butt card, the Vivid Tail. And that just lets him bounce back the Access Code. Natasha attempts to resolve as much as it can, and then we resolve Gamma. Now, I'm at this point in the game where I'm like, man, I'm running really low on resources here. I think my best strategy is to just keep Drytron names on the field. And what I'm thinking is I can keep him out of some of his rank 2s with the effect of Drytron Fafnir, or at worst, force him into battle phase. Now, he's going to continue using this Vivid Tail. It's another way that combos with Rise to Full Heights or reusing your trap cards is a very interesting thing. Now, we're going to keep comboing with Drytron names, and I'm going to do a very similar thing here, just establish names on the board since I can't really kill him. Now, he goes for the Tear Cache. He's going to continue to apply pressure, use that trap card, get another search. He's got a lot of names here. And I decide I need to guarantee life here. I'm going to go for Fuko. Now, he's going to continue to keep going on. He uses the backjack, takes a look at that top 3, and he thinks BLS Link's going to lock me out. I'm like, nah, it's not really that much of a problem. Fortunately enough, as a Drytron duelist, we've got a perfect out for that thing. I hit him with the second copy of Zeus. He's got that Lost One we knew about, and then we hit him with Zeus again. Now, he chains Havness here, but at this point, we don't really care that much about it resolving. Whatever he goes for is not that much of a threat, because right now, he's got 3 cards left in his deck. So my strategy was going to be like, all right, let's burn this mofo down. Let's wait him out. But, well, let's just see why that was a mistake. Remember how I talked about how difficult it was to resolve Natasha? Well, here's another card that makes it pretty tricky. The Mud Dragon of the Swamp. It can't be targeted, and Natasha does need to target to steal. So him going for this was a very smart decision because it stopped me from being able to kill him. Now, we continue to play Medionis, add back, and it's going to be a similar deal here. We're just trying to establish as much pressure on the board as possible. I end up getting to Thrust since he did use a monster effect this turn, but I didn't end up having a Talents in my deck to go for the steal and then go for game. Now, this is where things get really punishing. That Candina is going to be brutal because I thought setting up the Natasha and making it so he wouldn't be able to attack would be the perfect way to seal this game and make him deck out. But unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. Candina is going to flip down my Draco Nids, and he's end up going to continue to combo with the Paleos Engrave, go for the Tear Cache, and try and apply some pressure. Oh, that was on my turn. Now, here's the problem. Look at how many life points I have left. You can't see it here, but I'll tell you. I have 4,200. And he goes for Access Code that he put back earlier in the duel and hits me for game. Game 1 up until this point took 70 minutes. That's over an hour that was spent on Game 1, if you can believe it. Let's see how Game 2 goes. All right, we're going first, baby. After the side deck, I'm feeling pretty confident. We won't be fooled again, is what I like to say. And we open the double name hand. Oh, baby, we are cooking. So I'm going to go full combo here. Now, I'm going to flag one thing. I think I might have made a small mistake. Either I did or I didn't. It's hard to tell with how I was trying to to play it out while still being respectful of Nibiru. That's why we have the orange light lined up in hand. I was very intentional about doing so. Didn't know if he could be playing it. And as a religious thing, I always never play into Nibiru. That was a weird way to say it, but you know what I mean. We go for the standard board of the Magic Key Lock plus the Vanity's Ruler, and that ends up sealing the deal. He's got the evenly match in hand, but it's not going to do nothing. So post-side deck going into game 3. Here we go. That was a pretty quick game, too, compared to the 70 minutes on game 1. But I assure you, we're going to have another duel here on our hands. He opens up with Fenrir, Havness, and 3 trap cards. A pretty strong start. Goes for the tier cash and banishes the Havness. This shocked me. I didn't know if this would actually end up being worth it. In my opinion, this was a bit of a misplay on the opponent's part. When he did this, I assumed he was going to go for the Draco Sack line to guarantee a fuse into something like Rukalos, which would be an additional form of interruption, but he ends up leaving the Fafnir on field. I think that was a very interesting choice, but wait until you see what we rip off the top. That's right, baby. Harpies for the Duster. I remember on stream when I ripped that, I'm like, yes, I don't have to think. But here's the problem. I go for it, and he's actually going to be able to generate advantage off of me going for it. So he gets the Lost Wind locked and loaded into the graveyard and a search off the Suliak for Merly. And we know what he's going to do with that. He's going to mill cards and go for Totally Awesome. Now, I have 2 names and ready to rock and roll. I'm going to try and cook as much as I can on my own turn. Let's take a look at that graveyard. Oh, there it is. Our favorite card, the Rise to Full Heights, which is going to stop me from going for game no matter how hard I try, which is infuriating. So that means I got to pivot my game plan. I got to put up the most oppressive board I can. And who am I relying on? Again, that's my boy Vanity's Ruler. That's right. We're going to back him up with as much defense as possible. And I also established the Natasha here early so I can start stealing his cards. And one important thing we're going to steal is that Fenrir. That could easily out our Vanity's Ruler. I'm going to gain some life points, and I'm going to use it to banish the Tier Cash. That's the card he targeted with Rise to Full Heights. I end up linking it off for a Nightmare Phoenix to pop the Lost Wind, so he couldn't use it to negate my Vanity's Ruler. And I do end up tagging out the IP since he could easily force it by switching the Paleo to attack. Now, he breakthrough skills the Vanity's Ruler. Unfortunate situation. And he has me sweating here just a little bit. But one Toad isn't necessarily going to be enough. But you know what is pretty threatening? A darn Zeus. So he comes down, he clears my board, but here's the thing. I'm a Drytron duelist with Ben 10 in hand. You know what that means? It means I'm going to freaking win. So he ends on Zeus and 1 set card. Do you think I got to sweat it? Not at all, because our Natasha is still live, baby. So the first play we're going to go for is to attempt to steal it, and that is going to get negated by, or excuse me, he flips up the D barrier, which is going to stop me from being able to resolve it. Well, I've got the next best thing to force it, and that's going to be our friend Diviner. So he goes up, he misplays a little bit here by trying to reset that trap card, so everything does end up being sent, except for the Paleo, which is unaffected, clearly. So now it's back into cooking time, where we're going to try and, again, set up as much of a board as possible. I go for the Moy Beta, he ends up going for the Backjack and gets a Candina, which is frustrating, because he stops me from being able to go for my Zeus play, and he lines up 2 Paleos on the board. So in main phase 2, I'm just going to try and generate additional advantage. That Moy Beta is doing nothing for me in face down defense position, so I remove it to get another search off of the Zeta. He's actually coming back now, so the Zeta's going to die, and he's got that Paleo on the board. But again, I've got a graveyard stacked with Drytrons and a full hand. We are cooking, so I'm just going to continue to generate advantage, draw into a Book of Moon, go for the Gamma, resolve it, and then activate the Medionis, and he sees the writing on the wall. Whether I be summoning Draco, Nids, Odd Eyes, Vortex Dragon, there was no way he was coming back from that. Now, unfortunately, I would have loved to show you the lethal blow where I attack for game, but being at the fact that I'm at 10,200 life points, and he is so low on card economy, and my engine is 100% in effect, he knows he is done for. So again, apologies for the unsatisfactory ending, but of course the Drytron takes it in the end. But how long did this match take? 110 minutes. Just shy of 2 hours. Again, guys, this is the longest duel I've ever played in my entire life. If you guys have played a duel like this before, let me know about it in the comments section down below. But with that, I'm going to be calling it a day here. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for more unique Yu-Gi-Oh content just like this. LoganJYA signing off. Have a great day, and I'll see you beautiful people later. Peace. 心の隙間埋め